DailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. A Wapella firefighter is taking up a Christmas program that gets Christmas gifts into the hands of kids in need during the holidays. Sean Horvey is learning the ins and outs of the program with Donna Gaydosh in Logan County and indicates she has been a great resource to help the program get going in DeWitt County.
So I got involved. I reached out to Donna. The reason I reached out to Donna, so on the fire department, I do a lot of stuff with kids. Just seeing kids in our community that needed a little extra help and stuff like that. And I didn't really see much around here, so what I did is reached out to Donna, just talked to her about Toys for Tots, what it was about, what it is, and stuff like that. When she explained everything to me, that really hooked me in. You know, just not just stopping at Christmas, but all year long that we can help out, stuff like that.
Gaydosh is happy to see the program get going in DeWitt County and indicates it's had a lot of success in Logan County.
Well, it's been really, Sean has made it so easy for us to transition from taking it over from me over into him. He's doing a great job. He's getting the word out to everybody. He's getting the boxes out, and the community in DeWitt County has really opened their arms for the Toys for Tots program this year. I can't say enough good things about what Sean is doing. He's really grasping a hold of the whole concept of the Toys for Tots program, and I see nothing but good things in his future for this program.
This Saturday, Horvey will set up at the Casey's gas station in Wapella off Highway 51, where the public is encouraged to drop off any toy donations or cash donations to help with this year's program.
So what I'm hoping to accomplish is we can have, everybody in DeWitt County to get them toys when they need toys. Not only that, so this Saturday I will be coming up with our first annual Fill the Fire truck with the Wapella Fire Department. So as with that, I will have Marines coming down from Bloomington to help us out. Battle Cross Crusades out of Clinton are going to be there to help us. And also all the members of the Wapella Fire Department will be helping us too. What I hope to take out of this is to see smile on kids' face when they come to Christmas Day. On Saturday, Wapella, we will be set up at Casey's on Route 51 from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. What we are hoping to do is fill a whole fire truck with toys. So with these toys will end up staying in DeWitt County after we get done with Toys for Tots this year. They will remain in DeWitt County. So any donations of toys or anything else of sort of donations will end up staying here in DeWitt County.
Gaydosh reminds of the distribution dates coming up in both counties and some important dates in Logan County.
We've got our distribution in Logan County is December 16th, and DeWitt County is December 17th. Anyone that would like to sign up, they still need to, for this year, they need to go to the Logan County website, which is lincoln.il@toysfortots.org. And they need to sign up, and then I will get all the information over to Sean, and they can get that taken care of in DeWitt County. Well, we just had a collection this last Saturday at Walmart, and then we're getting ready to get our distribution on the 16th at the Lincoln Rural Fire Department, and that's going to be from 8 to 2 at the Rural Fire Department.
Gaydosh is concerned about kids in the ages 6 to 12 and teenagers in their program. She hopes to make sure all kids in a house are taken care of for Christmas.
I think for my campaign and Sean's campaign, I think one of the age groups that has always seems to, get set aside is the children from 6 to 12 and our teenagers. So I do go up to age 18, especially if you have children in a family that has younger siblings than that, and the siblings are wondering why their brother didn't get a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So we always make sure that we take care of all of the siblings in the household. So I will go up to age 18. Now next year, Sean can do whatever he would like, but in Logan County, I do go up to the age of 18. So teenagers, that 6-year-old girls and boys and all the way up to 12-year-olds, that's always something, it always seems to get missed.
So in DeWitt County, so with us, this is all new to us here this year. So this is all brand new. So what we're starting with is nothing. So, I mean, any toys from, like she said, Donna, she said from ages 1 to 18, I mean, I'm starting fresh. I have some donations coming from Donna, but other than that, the donations, I have boxes all around town. We have a bunch of supporters this year that I've come in contact with that have put a box in. So any donation box that anybody sees around town, please don't hesitate. Drop off toys. Any toys would help us out. Like I said before, though, any donations that do get dropped off, they're going to remain here. So, and that's what I really want to know, to let people know that our toys that are going to be donated stay here in DeWitt County.
Both DeWitt and Logan County Toys for Tots chapters are taking signups for the program. Find the Logan County chapter for that on Facebook. Blue Ridge School Administration is celebrating a successful 2023 school report card. On the WHOW Morning Show Monday, Blue Ridge School Superintendent Dr. Hillary Stanifer told Regional Radio they had a targeted building last year that has improved and is no longer in that designation.
Well, I am very pleased to say that our intermediate and junior high school building, that's our Mansfield campus, grades 4 through 8, on the last report card, so end of October of 2022, they were a targeted school, and that was for one of our student groups, our student group of students with disabilities. So any student with a 504 plan or an IEP plan, the scores for those students were extremely concerning at the state level. So we received a targeted school designation, which means that there are some funds that come along with that, but there's a lot of extra planning that needs to be done. And basically it's a little nudge to say, okay, you need to do something in this area. We've noted it, you've noted it, and now you need to do something to change that. And they do provide funds for the next couple of years. But I will say that we've had a change in leadership in that building. We are definitely working on, making sure that the academics are our focus. And I'm very pleased to say that they moved from the targeted designation up to a commendable, which is the next level up, a commendable school. And they were actually very close to being labeled an exemplary school, which is the highest designation. So they made a tremendous amount of growth in their scores. So we are extremely pleased with all of the staff members, the kitchen staff, the custodial staff, the teachers, the paraprofessionals. Everybody plays a part in that by welcoming the kids and making it a safe, supportive learning environment. So that was a big, huge hurrah for our district as a whole.
For Dr. Stanifer, she is watching closely growth and proficiency. She explains they're looking at improvement and compares how they're doing compared to state levels in math and reading.
Well, I'm going to look at both the growth and the proficiency level. So the growth, for example, if our scores were extremely low at a building the previous year, the growth score should be tremendously high the next year because there's so much room for improvement, right? So that's what you see in that first year, is you're making up for that lost growth score the previous year. But really, the proficiency is another piece that I'm looking at. I want to make sure that, we're comparing ourselves. We only have one building for each of our grade levels, so it's not a matter. In other districts, you might be looking at, if you have 2 elementary buildings, you might be looking at them in comparison to one another. Not that student populations are the same, but they should be receiving the same instruction, the same materials, and so you should see some strong similarities between those buildings. That's something that I don't have to look at here because all of our grade 3 students are all in the same building and so on. So I look at proficiency scores. Where are we compared to state level? I want to be always at or above a state level in math and reading. And then I'm also I look at between our buildings. So we have a strength in the area of math in our K through 3 building that's been very consistent. When we go to our intermediate building, we see a little bit of drop in that proficiency score in math. So then that means that I need to focus on the instructional habits, perhaps looking at the curriculum at the next grade levels to see where are we able to make improvements for the next year. Mm-hmm. So that's a big focus for me.
According to Dr. Stanifer, chronic absenteeism is impacting her district and its report card. She says they have a 22% chronic absenteeism rate and believes a lot of the issues are stemming from COVID decisions.
Yeah, so as a district, we're at 22%. I'm looking at our score right now. We're definitely below state average. That's an area where you want to be below state average. When I look at, I could look at and go to all the different buildings for that, but I have the district pulled up in front of me. We made growth in that area by dropping that number across all of our buildings. I think a lot of that has to do with, being healthier. The COVID's still something that's out there, and we still see absences because of that. But now pretty much it's stay home for the first 5 days, and then you can come back after that, whereas it used to be 10. So we're getting kids back in a little bit quicker. But when that score includes both excused and unexcused absences, that does make it tough. We don't want kids to be out, but the state has now said that they can have 5 mental health days. So it's kind of an oxymoron when we're getting a negative mark when kids are out, but they're telling us, hey, you want them to be out for COVID and you want them to be able to be out for mental health. So it feels a little bit divisive, I guess you would say, when you're being graded so heavily on that, but overall, we know that kids learn best when they're in the classroom. So I know that's an important score. So once you break that habit, I go back to, I actually used to run. And as a runner, if I would be pushing myself pretty hard to get to a certain distance that I could run before a race, afterwards, if I would take a week off, it was almost like I had never run before in my life. You feel like you're starting all over again, and you have that pushback from getting that habit back. And I think a lot of that is very similar to the way conversations happened at home. Somebody doesn't feel well when they're going to bed. In my household, my kids still joke about, yep, we'd have to go to school anyway. I think nowadays, if somebody says, oh, I don't feel well, the first thing is, okay, just stay home. It's going to be fine. Whereas before, it used to be, go to school, you'll be fine. They can call me if there's a problem, So there's definitely a shift there, which makes it a lot easier to build that, I would say, a lazier habit with the importance of being in the classroom.
Dr. Stanifer says while they are pleased with where they're at as a district, they are going to continue to seek to improve and move forward and not get complacent. News time is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. We'll take a quick break. Back with more after this on the WHOW Morning Show.
At Baum Chevrolet Buick, above and beyond is standard practice. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. When you shop for a vehicle, there's nothing standard about it. You simply don't do it every day. That's why our sales staff will ask questions, listen, and help you find the transportation solution that checks all the right boxes. Come see our selection and start your search for a new Chevrolet or Buick today. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. A string of unseasonably warm weather came to an abrupt halt over the weekend as the final crop report of the season noted a continuation of the dry weather. Crop statistician Mark Schleusner notes things were cool and dry with some places in northern Illinois receiving some rain while topsoil moisture conditions continue to decline.
Dry weather continued across the Prairie State last week, but the string of warmer than average weather ended. Temperatures averaged only 37.6 degrees, and that was 1.2 degrees below normal for this time of year. Rainfall averaged just over 1/2 inch across the state, and that was 0.2 of an inch below normal. Northern parts of Illinois were wetter than average, but the rest of the state was dry. There were 6 days suitable for fieldwork in Illinois last week, and topsoil moisture was rated 13% very short, 34 short, 46 adequate, and 7% surplus.
Winter wheat is 98% emerged, remaining ahead of the regular pace. Schleusner notes crop conditions declined in the last week.
For the winter wheat crop, 93% of acres have emerged, up 3% from the previous week. That is 10 points ahead of 1 year ago and 3 points ahead of the 5-year average pace. The condition of the Illinois wheat crop declined and was rated 2% very poor, 5% poor, 21 fair, 57 good, and 15% excellent.
Farmers are receiving several annual surveys that Schleusner stresses remain confidential by law. Governor J.B. Pritzker sat down for a fireside chat this week to discuss the state's economy and other key issues. One of the main topics was the recent reopening of the Belvidere Stellantis auto plant. Governor Pritzker says more and more manufacturers are in discussions to move to the state, and it's not always about tax incentives.
We're in discussions with, and this is 5 times more than ever before, about 25 different companies that have come to us, big companies with 1,000 to 4,000 jobs and billions of dollars of investment that have come to the state of Illinois. It's not, in fact, at this point, it's a minority of these deals are because I made an outbound call. People are coming to us wanting to come to the state of Illinois. And the biggest selling point, I know you didn't ask this, but I'm going to tell everybody, the biggest selling point that they come to us and remind us about is the quality of our workforce.
The event was moderated by Crane's Chicago Business. How much more than last year will shoppers end up paying for food this year? The USDA has a new forecast, and Gary Crawford has this report.
For food shoppers, the last couple of years have been tough on the wallet and have put the squeeze, yes, on many people's budgets. It was like we were on this food price roller coaster that was only going up, and at a very steep angle, too. Historically, retail food prices do go up every year, but by an average of about 2%. But in 2022, we saw prices at the grocery store shoot up an average of almost 11.5%, caused by COVID and the war in Ukraine and bird flu outbreaks in our nation's poultry flocks and other supply chain problems. So then comes 2023, and Agriculture Department economists were only a bit more optimistic about the situation when they made their forecast for 23 at the start of this year.
In January 2023, our forecast for food at home prices in 2023 was for 8% growth.
Better, but still very high. However, USDA economist Megan Schweitzer says that 8% food price inflation forecast is happily turning out to be overly pessimistic. Food price hikes have not been as high as expected.
So now we've made our way down. Our latest forecast is for 5.2% growth in food at home prices in 2023.
And the news on this is even better than it appears. Now, yes, the average price increase for all of this year is projected to be up by 5.2%, but hear this.
So far in 2023, we've seen prices for food at home for groceries rise 5% already through the year. And our forecast is for 5.2%. So most of the price increases we're expecting in the year, we've already seen happen.
And so we shouldn't see much in the way of significant price hikes for the rest of this year. And Megan said most of those increases came in the first part of 2023. So when we add up those monthly price increases and average them out for the whole year, there are food products that are averaging quite a bit higher than in 2022.
So some of the categories where we do continue to see and forecast larger price increases in 2023.
Increases from 7 up to 9%.
Are for fats and oils, for sugar and sweets, for cereals and bakery products and processed fruits and vegetables, and for non-alcoholic beverages.
And on the flip side of that,
we expect to see a small decline in pork prices in 2023 by 0.4%. And in addition to that decline in pork prices, there are a few categories where we expect less than 1% price growth in 2023 for fish, for eggs, and for fresh fruits and vegetables.
And if you just compare prices now to the same month in 2022, there are some foods selling for less than at this same point of time 1 year ago, including eggs, fish and seafood, dairy, and fresh vegetables. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
The White House Monday held the inaugural meeting of its Council on Supply Chain Resilience with participants from the Ag Secretary. Rod Bain has this report.
We're coming together to ask a simple question. What's next? What can we do? What must we do to keep making progress, to keep our supply chain stable and secure in the long term?
Among the solutions offered by President Joe Biden Monday,
the launch of a new Council on Supply Chain Resilience. I'm charging this group to ensure that our supply chains remain secure, diversified, resilient.
With the inaugural meeting of this council conducted Monday as well.
I'm also directing my cabinet to create an early warning system that uses data to spot supply chains risks to our economic security, our national security, our energy security, and our climate security.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack attended the meeting as a member of the White House Council on Supply Chain Resilience. USDA investments in supply chain resiliency in the past 3 years include almost $200 million in 185 projects nationwide. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
News time 7:30. Network News is now.
Israel and Hamas have extended their ceasefire for a couple of days beyond the original 4-day timeline, but it seems only a matter of time before the war in Gaza resumes. Israel vows to resume its drive to wipe out Hamas once the terror group stops releasing hostages. Unnamed Biden administration officials say the administration has told Israel that it must operate with far greater precision in southern Gaza if it renews the ground campaign. The administration anxious to avoid what is termed the significant further displacement of Palestinian civilians. Jailed in Russia on spy charges, American journalist Evan Gerskovich will stay behind bars at least through the end of January. A Moscow court extending his detention yet again. Stock futures lower on Wall Street. The Dow futures are down 40 points. More details at srnnews.com.
I can't wait for what's next, even with higher stroke risk due to atrial.
With SRN Sports, I'm Michael Harrington. NFL Monday Night Football first up this morning. The Bears get away with a narrow Monday night win using defense.
Cairo Santos' 30-yard field goal with 10 seconds left in the game gave the Bears a 12-10 win over the Vikings in Minnesota. It was Santos' fourth field goal of the game. Chicago intercepted Minnesota quarterback Joshua Dobbs 4 times, impressing Chicago head coach Matt Eberflus.
Defense creates momentum in a lot of different ways, and they do it through third down stops. They do it through, big hits, and they do it through taking the ball away. And that's what we always preach to the guys, and they did all 3 things today.
The Vikings record falls to 6-6. The Bears improved to 4-8. I'm Mike Reeves.
Elsewhere yesterday, the Carolina Panthers fired head coach Frank Reich with the team off to an NFL worst 1-10 record in his first year in charge. This is SRN Sports. There was NBA action yesterday. The Denver Nuggets beat the Clippers 113-104. It was Utah 114 and the Pelicans 112. Trailblazers over the Pacers 114-110. Wizards 126, Pistons 107, and the Sixers hammered the Lakers 138-94. Baseball news: the St. Louis Cardinals have agreed with AL Cy Young runner-up Sonny Gray on a $75 million 3-year contract to anchor their staff heading into next season. Gray's deal includes a $30 million team option for 2027 and a $5 million buyout, which could make the agreement worth $100 million over 4 seasons. College football, Florida coach Billy Napier has begun a much-needed defensive makeover by firing 2 of his assistants. In the National Hockey League yesterday, it was the Sabres over the Rangers 5-1. Columbus beat the Bruins 5-2. Colorado 4, Tampa Bay 1. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Monticello topped Urbana 42-22 in non-conference high school girls basketball action from Monticello Monday night. Megan Allen led all scorers with 12 points, scoring 8 in the first half and helping stake the Lady Sages to an 18-11 halftime advantage. Monticello shut out Urbana in the first quarter, however, did not get off to a fast start, leading just 6-0 at the end of the first frame. The Lady Sages blew the game open with a 13-2 third period and led 31-13 going to the final quarter. Maya High scored 7 of her 11 points in the fourth quarter for Monticello. Isaiah Davis led the Lady Tigers with 8 points, and Zion Reed added 7 highlighted by a half-court buzzer beater to end the first half. Allen was the serve pro of Piatt-DeWitt County's player of the game. Monticello moves to 3-3 overall. Hear more Lady Sages basketball on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com next Thursday night when they host Mount Zion starting at 6 p.m. A slow third quarter doomed Blue Ridge, who fell to Lowpoint-Washburn 65-51 Monday night in non-conference boys basketball action from Farmer City. The Knights came out swinging and led 23-19 after the first frame, but fell behind 31-29 going to the intermission. However, Lowpoint-Washburn picked up the pressure in the second half and blew the game open with a 23-11 third quarter, highlighted by Baylor Steffen, scoring 11 of his game-high 27 points in the third quarter, and the Wildcats made 4 3-pointers in the frame. Cody Connect scored 13 of his 15 points in the second half for Lowpoint-Washburn. Zach Lewis paced Blue Ridge with 20 points, and Wyatt Pearl added 12. Lowpoint-Washburn goes to 4-0 overall. The Knights are 2-2 and will host Donovan Thursday. Blue Ridge topped Donovan 58-55 last week at the Calvary Christian Holiday Tournament. Caro Santos made a 30-yard field goal with 10 seconds left, his fourth of the night, and a miss on the opening drive as the Bears had 4 interceptions of Joshua Dobbs in a defense-dominated 12-10 victory over the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. Justin Fields lost 2 fumbles in the fourth quarter before a 3rd and 10 completion to DJ Moore for 36 yards, putting the ball at the 13 with 55 seconds left, setting up the winning kick. The 4-8 Bears stopped a 12-game NFC North losing streak, including 6 in a row against the Vikings. Moore had 11 catches for 114 yards. The Vikings, who cautiously chose to hold star wide receiver Justin Jefferson out for another game with a hamstring injury, were helpless as ever on offense, with only a field goal by Greg Joseph at the end of the first half to show for a 54-plus minutes. Dobbs threw the go-ahead score to T.J. Hawkinson with 5:54 left, but the Vikings stalled out again after that at the worst possible time. After Fields rumbled for a first down, Josh Metellus jarred the ball loose that Anthony Barr recovered at the Chicago 43. The Vikings ran for no gain and 1 yard before a screen pass for a loss of a yard. Then Ryan Wright sailed his punt out of bounds, netting just 26 yards, and the Bears had the ball at their 22 instead of being pinned deep. Only 59 seconds came off the clock. The Bears, who blew a 12-point lead with about 3 minutes left last week in their loss at Detroit, forced 4 turnovers for the second straight game. Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker, TJ Edwards, and Kyler Gordon had interceptions, and 3 were off deflections. Gordon's diving grab with 12:32 to go and a 9-3 lead gave the Bears the ball at the Minnesota 38, but 5 plays later, Danielle Hunter, whose takedown of Fields on Chicago 15th dislocated the quarterback's thumb and sidelined him for the next 5 games, dislodged the ball during a sack that Sheldon Day recovered at the Minnesota 23. The Vikings went the other way in 8 plays for their only second drive of more than 30 yards all night, and the Bears were in danger of another late collapse, but they became just the 3rd team in the NFL in the last 20 years to win without a touchdown, multiple turnovers, and 50-plus penalty yards, according to Sport Radar. After the Week 13 bye, the Bears will host the Lions on December the 10th. The St. Louis Cardinals made their biggest splash yet in an attempt to revamp a lackluster rotation, agreeing to AL Cy Young runner-up Sonny Gray on a $75 million 3-year contract Monday to anchor their staff heading into next season. Gray's deal includes a $30 million team option for 2027 with a $5 million buyout, which could make the agreement worth $100 million over 4 years. John Mazalik, president of baseball operations, already had signed free agent right-handers Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn to one-year deals, but said the Cardinals were not at the finish line a week later. They have one of the best pitchers on the market at the front of their rotation. The 34-year-old Gray went 8-8 with a 2.79 ERA for Minnesota last season. He turned down a qualifying offer from the Twins, who get an additional pick in next year's amateur draft as compensation for losing him. Currently, that's pick number 33. St. Louis will lose its second highest selection. It could be a small price to pay for a big boost to their rotation. The Cardinals went 71-91 last season for their worst record since 1995, and the biggest culprit was pitching. The rotation had a 5.08 ERA, fifth worst in the big leagues, and when the bullpen was added to the mix, their 4.79 ERA ranked 24th. The Cardinals only had right-handers Miles Michaelis and left-hander Steven Matz under contract for 2024, so it made sense for them to move quickly to sign Lynn and Gibson and absorb innings at the back end of the rotation. The 36-year-old Lynn, a two-time All-Star and part of the Cardinals' 2011 World Series title team, went 13-11 with the White Sox and Dodgers last season. Gibson, also 36, went 15-9 with a 4.73 ERA for the AL East champion Baltimore Orioles last season. Gray is expected to be at the top of the rotation for St. Louis.